Something I didn't explain you in the last video is that there's actually a much faster way for you to do to extract the location of the bones to Blender. That is, you select all the bones, then you go to cache alembic, and then you export the selection. That way, when you import it into Blender, you import the alembic file, you will get all the locators. So what we need to create now is the controllers instead of these colored bones. So for that, I usually use my UI star. So I have a Blender file which has have lots of UI icons, you may say that. So I have all the necessary controls or shapes to create the controllers. So I will teach you how you can create the curves or the UI in a wireframe mode. So let's say we create a cube and we only want the wireframe. So we go into edit mode, we select all the faces, we go to mesh, delete, only faces, and then we go again into object mode and we are left with the wireframe. For the text, we create the text, we go into edit mode and we say UI master, then you go into object mode, you go into object, convert to curve, as you can see here. Then if we go into edit mode, we get this. So we need to go select them again, go into object mode, convert to mesh, and now it's a mesh, it's an editable mesh. And if you want to get only the wireframe, you should use as we seen before, the delete, and in this case we need also to delete the edge, and then we get the wireframe only. To get this file with all the UI and my script, you should go to my Patreon and be sure that you subscribe. I created this script that is available to all my Patreons. So it's a tool that I use to simplify the clicks that we usually use in Blender, because we have to switch lots of modes and go into these panels and all of that. So for example, you can create well, imagine that this is a rig and you want to create a locator there. So you select the bone, you place the cursor there, so and then if you create an empty, it's going to create an empty where the bone is. If you want to, for example, bake an animation, so let's say that this is our animation and we want to bake it. So instead of going into pose, animation, bake animation, visual keyframes, current, okay, we simply go select the bone and we hit bake bone. That's done. So you see how we save clicks, and you can also do that for, let's say, the objects. So let's say that we have this bone like doing this. Okay, we want to bake it, bam, it's done. So let's say we want to make an motion trail. So instead of going here, open this, set the clock, click here, press OK, you just press here, one click. So you see how fast we can go with this tool that I'm currently developing. So it's already available for my Patreons. So I hope this will help you a lot. So for the constraints, you can also like apply with the target already assigned, instead of select here, select the armature. Yeah, and you can also remove easily all the constraints. So if you click here, so I'm going to import the UI. In here we can specify what is the UI that we want, but in our case I'm going to select them all, and then we can select what we are going to use. So these ones I'm going to assign this sphere. So to control the on and off button, we need to lock all the rotations and scales. We need to add a limit location constraint. We need to set the minimum value and the maximum value in local space. This way, when we translate the on and off button, it's going to stay where we want it to be. If you check the location X, if I add more and more values, it will never like pass this threshold. We want to constrain to set a driven key to this constraint, so we are going to add a driver. Right now we are not going to insert any data, so we are going to UI, we are going to create a new property, we are going to add it, call it master fk, we are going to set the initial value to 0, then we are going to edit the driver. We are going to say that is var multiply by 9. The var is going to be in local space. Armature, we are going to say that it's this controller. So if I move the controller, I get 1 and 1 is off. If I go to on is 0. So right now we need to copy this, so we are going to copy that path. We are going to edit this one, and we are going to say that is a single property, it's the armature, and it's this bound. We are going to update, so right now is on, and now is off. You should do this for all of these controllers, so let's do it.
We are going to add driver.
And right now is on, and we can control the spine like this. If we now say that is going to be off, we can no longer control the spine like with the FK master. So right now what we also need to do is, when this option is in off, this control must disappear in order for us just to keep these ones. So we select the FK master. In viewport display we set a driven key, then we go to var, the property is the armature, and the data path is the controller. So now if this option is on, is going to turn the controller on, and if it's off, it's going to disappear. And as you can see there, everything is off. So now we can control everything by hand, one by one. And if we don't want to control every single controller in the spine, we just turn this on, and we only control this one control. So if I turn on the FK master, I have this controller that controls all the spine, and I can move this. If then the master controller is going to be turned off, and this control is turned on. To create that, I created a new bone that is not visible right now. That when I move this one, is going to do the opposite translation. And I created a new property called turn off FK, and I set the default values to 1 1. Then I just place the var plus the value of this translation, and yeah, I set it to world space. So as you can see here, is only giving me .8, so I needed +2 to equal 1, and 1 is off. So right now is the FK spine is off, in if I go to the right is turned on, as you can see in here. So yeah, I only added what we already have done with the copy. So I just copy this bone that is following the master. I copy the data path and I just applied it here. I just set this to be hidden, and this way you don't actually have problems turning this on and off and understanding what you should select. The good thing of creating an UI is that if I key the UI, so let's say I have this switch in here, so it's on, then it's off. The good thing is that you don't have to go and every time you have a new NLA layer, you don't have to go and make the setup all again and just select this controller, then go to the properties and just press keyframe to 200 like options, properties that we have here. We don't have to be concerned with that, because if we key the controller here, is going to automatically key every property. So this is the awesome part about creating an UI versus not creating it. So I'm going to change this one to UI add follow. We can rearrange this, and we are going to create a new attribute called add follow, set to 0. Then we are going to change this name to add follow. Driver. So it's set to 0. If I move it, it's set to 1. So if it's we now need to copy the data path. Go here to the head. We set a driver, single property, the armature, copy data path. So the constraint is on, and if we play off, the constraint is off. And so we need to duplicate this to the to the neck follow. To make easier to only select the controller, you should come to the armature and turn the selection off. So now if you try to select on and off or other parts of the UI, you will not be successful because you can only select the controller. And it's good for you to always test your rig and to see if everything is working, if the switches are breaking something or not. Since we had a mistake, to achieve this, when you switch from FK, master FK to on and off, you should parent the spine 1 to the control com and not to the FK master. So regarding the next videos, I'm going to make them faster for YouTube, and I will make without commentaries, and for patrons I'm going to make it a full video where I talk about what I'm doing with more detail. So yeah, if you want my scripts and also the Blender files, make sure to check my Patreon. If not, you will only see all the process in fast forward. And yeah, I hope this helps you guys, and make sure you hit a like and subscribe. So yeah, thank you so much.